Hey you guys, I'm on my friend's property today and he's going to show us how to do this special mix that he uses for mainly, all the vegetables and trees around this area. Let's take you guys to that site and show you what that looks like. This is sort of like a general mix that he likes to do. It's just a much more inexpensive way that you can mix your own soil or purchase a couple of things, and then if you can mine or harvest some of your own. Here we're going to be harvesting. This is decomposed granite. So there are some more fine granite and some that are a little more coarse, which also helps with drainage and to fill in, I guess, the air pockets in the soil. Also, it does slowly release some minerals and nutrients.
It's the quartz. There's quartz in it.
It's my first time harvesting some. We're gonna just pick some of this up and then go to the other spot and start putting the mix together. In this area, this pretty much just relies on rainfall to get moisture. So you're not actually seeing much, like worms living out here. It's just pretty dry. Places that you can see worms is usually more lush. Okay, we're ready to go do our mix.
What I'm trying to do is create a mix that can work for most vegetables. The acidity should be at 6.0. I mean, it could vary, but not too much lower than 6.0. It could go to like 6.5, but at least some acidity to it. So I did a guesstimate as far as what will bring down from 7.0 to 6.0. I'm going to use like 1/4 peat moss, which is naturally around 4.0 to 4.5 acidity. We'll start with 1 bucket of decomposed granite.
So when you are looking for topsoil to add to the mix, you actually don't want that much, life going on in that soil yet, just because you're going to build that later after you put the mix together and start growing your vegetables and adding in the compost. But right now you're starting with topsoil that doesn't have much or worm life or other things, just because earthworms are good for the garden, but there's some other pests that may also be attracted to the location. So that's why he chooses to select topsoil from an area that doesn't have much life going on. Now he's going to add the topsoil. That was that decomposed granite that I just harvested. What you're seeing is about 1 bucket of each that went in here, the topsoil, 1 bucket of topsoil and 1 bucket of that decomposed granite I just harvested earlier. 1 bucket of peat moss.
1 bucket of cocoa peat.
1 bucket of cocoa peat or cocoa coir. And this you can actually go source if you want to get a large quantity of it. So normally they come in about like a 5-pound block like this at a nursery supplies or I believe, hydroponic stores have them too, and just farm supplies or nursery supplies should have the cocoa coir that you need.
And the advantage of using cocoa is that it lasts a long time. It doesn't break down that easily, and also retains water really well. It's the best way to keep your soil moist. And it's a good combination. You use it with peat, so that because peat actually, when dries, it repels water. So you don't want peat to dry out completely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to add some perlite.
Perlite helps in aeration.
And also helps to lighten the weight of the soil. So there's a lot of air in it. And one of the secrets is to cut down the dust, because you don't want to breathe the dust of the perlite, is to soak it in water. Soak the water also, it keeps it from floating. If it's dry, the perlite floats up on top. Also, a good way to tell if you mix it properly is you see later that the perlite, it's an indicator how well it's mixed, the soil mixes.
Can you use perlite instead of sand to keep it lightweight in a mix?
Sure.
Okay. It's just more expensive, right?
Actually, perlite's fairly cheap if you buy from suppliers. 4 cubic foot of perlite at wholesale suppliers, about $5-6 a bag.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, next is going to be the chicken manure.
Okay, composted chicken manure.
This is composted chicken manure. So you can actually source, I think there are horse manure, if you can source that, or bunnies, or any kind of composted manure. You can add that to the mix. Usually chicken manure contains about 5% nitrogen. Here you can see how much fertilizer he is putting into the mix.
As far as animal fertilizer, it's better to be safe.
To burn.
If you use too much, let's say if it hasn't been completely composted, you could burn the plants. What I'm using is very well composted. I have for many years. There's no odor whatsoever to it.
Synthetic fertilizers are at least twice as strong as the natural fertilizers, such as, from animal manure, just an example. So he likes to use, animal manure, which is chicken manure right now. That's been compost down. If you're going for synthetic, which is really not our preference, but it's usually stronger, so you don't want to use as much into your mix, but he is using animal manure in this case. So let's just say if he's mixing a 100-pound potting mix, he would put down about 5 pounds of manure. You can always top dress your soil later as the plants grow in case you did not put enough fertilizer into your mix. Right now it's a good mix, about 50-50, 50% inorganic and 50% organic matter. Organic would be like the peat moss, the cocoa coir, the manure.
The chicken manure.
Yeah, and the inorganic would be like the minerals, the topsoil and the decomposed granite that I harvest. Let's give it a good turn, make sure it's all well blended.
This soil for many years, all you need to do is replenish with fertilizer on a regular basis. Usually at least once during growing season, or maybe twice, depending on the growth of the plant.
All right, let's take a look at how this feels. Feels pretty good. Very light and fluffy. So let's try this out. Let's plant something. Ooh, this is the grass jelly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a little grass jelly start here. Okay, so let's plant something. Here we got a grass jelly start. All right. So you guys can see this is a pretty inexpensive way to put a soil mix together, especially if you're looking to, fill in your raised beds. It's just, it doesn't have to break the bank. Personally, I would put more things like even some worm castings, rock dust in there, some seaweed powder, just all sorts of other stuff in there. But sometimes you can go a little more out on when you top dress your soil. That would make things a little, I guess, more cost effective. But anyhow, this mixture here, he said that it's good for many years, just growing in your garden beds. And then you can always add more on the top of your soil as the plants grow. So that's it, you guys. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Go check out my plant and seed shop as well. I will leave the link of that down below if you guys are interested. Thank you so much. See you right back here in the next video.